In this video, I will prove that playing stupid is a form of insanity. And to exhibit insanity, by definition, makes one insane. So everyone, I would argue, is acting in a way that leads to true insanity and is breeding toward insanity, except for me. And by definition, this is also the case. Also by their definition and wordplay. Remember, lunar, lunacy, lunatic, la lune, the moon. They're connected, right? Lunar cycle. So page 304 of the dictionary. Crazy, being out of the ordinary and passionately preoccupied, obsessed. Well, when you redefine what is ordinary, okay, it doesn't necessarily mean that everyone is sane. If you redefine what is naturally ordinary and make it insane, then you're breeding toward insane while insisting on people are normal and ordinary. I think we can all agree on that. So first, let us establish that people play stupid. In politics, do people not play stupid? Do politicians not play stupid? Do psychiatrists, do political parties, okay? They play stupid about things. You call people out on their hypocrisy, they cover it up, and they play stupid in various forms. Okay, when you ask somebody, hey, did you steal that? Huh? The first reaction, huh? Right? Why is the first reaction from little kids and people who aren't master thieves and masters at the art of deception, how come their first reaction is to play stupid? So what we see commonly when someone does something wrong, their first reaction is to play stupid, if for nothing else, to buy themselves time. And timing is also a part of martial arts. So what we're seeing is a kind of demonic energy. And the nuance between the energy and the spirit also goes back to the definition. They redefine honor in terms of image instead of actual integrity and a keen sense of justice and the heart to follow through. Okay? And they redefine spirit in terms of Luciferian energy being similar, the spirit is the same word for that as it is for God, right? The American spirit, Luciferian spirit, the spirit of the devil, demonic spirits, right? It's the same word being used for the Holy Spirit. When in reality, the nature of the spirit is different than the nature of the energy they're referring to when they're talking about the American spirit. It's actually the American energy. And it goes back to their definition and their root terms, right? Psyche, I went over this. Physique, okay? The soul, the mind, okay? The spirit, okay? So, and how these are connected, okay? So we go to, now that we've defined, using their own terms, they're crazy because you have to use a natural scale to define what is ordinary. Using a little bit of thought and discernment, we quickly come to the conclusion that playing stupid is exhibiting insanity. So is exhibiting insanity what it means to be insane? Mentally disordered, okay, is a definition of insane. So this is a subjective definition given to us by shrinks, okay? But what we can all agree on, okay, is that exhibiting insanity is a form of being insane. We don't all agree on, shrinks don't agree amongst themselves. Psychiatrists don't agree amongst themselves about what is a mental illness. As Dr. Thomas Szasz, he was like 60 years in psychiatry, displayed, he said it's all a joke. He doesn't agree with what a mental illness is. Mental health professionals don't agree with what a mental illness is and whether or not it should be in the book and how it should be treated and so on and so forth. Okay, so one can argue that as a result, that is insanity, but we're not going to get into that. Okay, so insane, exhibiting insanity. It's highlighted here at the top. Okay. All right, now, when we look at the root terms, it is from in plus sanus, sane, sane us. Son is. When we apply the word play, okay, now this is more complicated because it is also controversial, as there are people who will play stupid about what they're getting at. So let us explore the idea that the wordplay is referring to, which is the only sane way to extract the truth. We can't assume that a language is right. We can't assume that social norms are right. We have to question the idea and scrutinize it. Well, in ancient Egypt, they used to weigh the heart. Anubis. This is an idea that carried on through the cult of Osiris, which after the Assyrians had left and Amun-Ra had fell out of favor, which he was also weighing the heart, mind you, Anubis weighing the heart for Osiris, and the judgment of Osiris rises to power. And we see Serapis assimilate. Even if you reject that idea, we see the Egyptian themes in society. We see the pyramid on the dollar bill. We see the Egyptian organizations. I think it is insane to pretend that Egypt did not heavily influence Western culture one way or another. There's Julius Caesar and so on, Cleopatra. It's sad that I feel the need to explore that more. Okay, so you're going to have to do your own research. And you're saying that he's basing on a false premise, right? Going back to playing stupid, being insane. When your boss is raping kids and you're playing stupid, it is insane. When the people in charge are raping kids and everyone knows it, Hollywood, we have countless examples. Pedophilia rampant, and you pretend it's not a problem, it is insane. When you pretend you shouldn't have the heart to put your foot down and stop it, it is insane. So going along with an insane system is exhibiting insanity. It is the definition, their own definition of insane, and the sun is sane. The greatest example of what is sane, using their own wordplay, remember, lunacy, batty, right? Pretending that bats on the Narmer palette with a disturbed face is actually protecting the pharaoh. How can you be scared? Oh my gosh, I can be shocked and be protecting the pharaoh. Your spirit is depicted by you as shocked and out of touch. And you say he's protecting the pharaoh, who is smooth. It is the hawk that symbolizes Horus, that is smooth and opening up the breath, the soul, to release the breath of life, which has the energy attached to it, which is quote unquote the spirit according to those who are insane. So he's in charge. He controls the spirit. He is calm and focused and intense. Not their scared little bitch bat. Now, I'm going to go over that in another video. Okay, so now that we've established that the heart is the seat of intelligence, it's weighed against the divine order, this has to do with reality according to their cults, according to their own wordplay. They're acting in a way that is insane. Everyone knows the government is corrupt and it's basically insane to go along with it. Everyone who is acting normative, quote unquote, using the psychiatric scale, is actually exhibiting insanity. Period. Their own wordplay says that. Insanity, extreme folly or unreasonableness. Isn't it reasonable for us to demand that you fall in line in a system that is run by pedophiles, murderers, human traffickers, the biggest criminals of all, and to raise your daughters to be crony capitalist filth that look up to them and bend over backwards in more ways than one to be their playthings, their trophy wives, their little whores? It's unreasonable. It's extreme unreasonableness and folly. Something utterly foolish or unreasonable, right? Foolish as opposed to wise. The wise man pursues virtue. Again, going back to their own scale. Socrates, the pursuit of virtue is greater than the pursuit of wealth. So therefore, the pursuit of virtue is more wise than the pursuit of wealth. Their own Western scale. Psychology was a branch of philosophy, and that is ultimately what gave us psychiatry before these terms were even coined, mind you. This goes back to ancient cultures and the cults that gave you those cultures. Mystery schools, cult centers in Rome, Greece, Egypt, the Phoenicians, and so on. Okay, so when we look at, now that I've established for even the most out of touch person, even the most in denial fool, okay, another extreme version of insanity is to deny that my logic is sound here. When we talk about being crazy, it was something to do with unsound thinking, right? My logic is sound. You can't say that this logic is wrong. No one can present a counter argument that is superior. They will have to avoid the truths and use fabricated evidence. It's sad that my argument will never be accepted and applied, because we live in an insane society where sanity is never, in its pure form, is never, ever accepted and applied. It is always, there are always concessions that are made. How much of this can I apply? Well, if it's truly sanity, it's going to be put in its proper context, which is the divine order. What is ordinary is for the alpha male, the top martial artist, to be in charge. He's sane. And he is the example of what is sane. He's outmaneuvered people, focusing his mind, body, and soul, and conveying the spirit of righteousness, which is the spirit of sanity. That's why the people in charge are moral relativists. They avoid the true moral of the story, and they don't want morality to be truly applied in terms of the scale of sanity and normality, or normative, being normative. Okay. So when we look at where do the sane people go? They go to the insane asylum, right? They're in the sun is to a certain degree. They're more in the divine order than other people are, but nobody but me is in the divine order. I'm the top martial artist. Whoever is not following me and not submitting to my my orders, really, not listening to not following my orders. Okay, that's what has to be done. I'm supposed to be in charge, the monarch. Not a bunch of people who are complicit with a pedophile system taking a vote that doesn't even matter in the first place, when electoral votes determine the president and not popular votes, I believe, in the first place. That's insane. Their belief that their vote even matters in the first place is insane. It's a false belief. They're living in their own world, which is being, and people are feeding into this, their misconceptions to create an illusion. And look at they're glued to their TVs, they're glued to their phones, they're putting on tons of makeup, they're blurring the line at every turn, there's flashing lights everywhere, ding, 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 things that bring you out of nature, which is reality. Nature is reality, not the psychological construct. The fact that I even feel the need to explain that shows you that this is an insane society. I'm the guy who hones his senses. And yes, I detect that you people are out of touch. That's why I would be able to outmaneuver you in sparring and strike you, because no one is more focused in reality, in nature, than I am. Nobody. I am not only the example of the ideal man and the man who's closest to God and the top martial artist, but I am he who lives in reality the most, has the heart to follow through. If you don't have the heart to follow through, you snap into a state of denial, which by default to some degree, which is not living in reality. The same reason you don't notice your nose. Your brain is programmed not to notice your nose because it makes it easier for you to survive in this world. So when we look at the psych ward, okay, people in the psych ward, they're there for different reasons, right? They don't have heart is one of the reasons. Number two, they do have heart, and society does not have the heart to accept that they have heart. So either you're somebody who hits the divider on the road and for a moment snaps out of it, oh my gosh, life sucks, I'm going to start cutting myself, I'm going to try to kill myself, right? Either you have the heart to kill yourself, done. Or you have the heart to rebel against the people who have caused you to be miserable. And there's degrees of that. When you rebel as the top martial artist against a pedophile, crony capitalist, cultural imperialist, murderous, eugenic society, you have more reality and more heart than anyone else. Period. That is the highest form of manhood. And I tell you the truth, if even one woman was to take my side, she would be more in the masculine spirit than every man on the planet. That is disgraceful. Okay, so now that we've, to review, since I'm almost out of time, a minute 30 seconds left, I've defined their own wordplay, lunar, lunacy, lunatic, the moon, instead of the sun, following this kind of lukewarm, bitch, feminine, weak-ass spirit is insane, and lunacy, and it's right there in their own wordplay. I've used their own dictionary definitions. I've used the only logical scale to use for what is sane, what is natural is sane. If everyone starts plugging butts and eating shit instead of food, and they find a way to make it so they live, is it moral relativism that makes me say that they're insane? Or do I say naturally that's not how it's supposed to be? That makes it sane. The only scale that can be used is natural scale, and then it brings you to the supernatural. How does this guy outmaneuver everyone else? He's 1 in 7 billion people. How did he express the attributes needed to be Pharaoh more than anyone else? And not just through his martial arts challenge, through his uncontrolled political activity. And you have countless people pretending they're, what you see is 1 in 7 or 8 billion. 1 in 8 billion odds that this individual would express these things. That is miraculous. I also can be seen as a living miracle. Okay, so it had to be somewhere But when that place strikes and you consider the significance, this is a miracle. His life is a miracle. My parents performed a miracle. I am a miracle. God's miracle. I'm out of time.